everyone and happy Monday. We have another very pretty but extremely detailed picture in our planner today. It's definitely going to be more than one video. There's a lot going on here, but I have a plan to make it a little bit simpler but a little bit different, so hopefully you will like it. The first thing I would say, because it's so complex, I wanted to have just a small amount of pencils, so I picked this set, these upside down, my Staedtler super soft colour pencils, the Design Journey ones, just a 24 set. I didn't want to have too many colour choices because of all the detail. I thought I would get myself in a muddle. So that's the first thing. So I just picked a small set of pencils and let's take it in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the leaves. There are a lot of leaves. I'm going to come in a little closer, but I'm going to leave the whole page in view. And to do something different with my leaves, I've decided I'm going to do them in purples and pinks. This is a bit unusual. It will take us out of our comfort zone. Me too. Now I have a number 6 here, which is the dark purple. I think they call it, hang on, I've got the names, I've written down all the names on the lid. It is called Violet. So it's a very dark purple. So if you're not using Staedtler, you just grab your a dark purple. And I'm going to use this for all the little stems and tendrils on all the leaves. So I'm just going to start and work my way through them all, really. Just to get started, to get some colour down on that page, to sort of dig in really. Sometimes it's that first little bit that's the most daunting. You know, gosh, this is a tricky page, I don't know where to start. Well, you've started now. So, oh, that's the end of that leaf, look. So we'll leave that. So I was just thinking, it's a sort of magical picture. We're in the forest with the elves. Let's do something a little bit different colour-wise. You know how to colour green leaves by now. So let's try something a little bit out of our comfort zone. Hopefully it will look pretty, but just a little different. So we're just going to get all these little tendrils done, and then we're going to return to each leaf and add a little bit more in. I'm going to do those details, I think, like that. Excuse me, sniffing. So I haven't put a piece of paper behind the page. I don't always bother to do that on the planner. Now I've got an idea for the background, really simple, easy, with soft pastels. So, but I'm going to leave that till the end, and it's going to be quite delicate. Just because I don't want the background to take from the foreground. I've got a lot of detail going on here. Sorry, I hope I'm not obscuring what I'm doing too much. It gets a bit awkward sometimes, getting the right angle for you to see. Yes, so someone asked me in a comment how I knew what numbers the Staedtler pencil and what names, colour names for the Staedtlers. Well, if you go onto Staedtler's actual website and go to their products and then go to their coloured pencils, find your set of pencils, or any set of pencils really, and there you find that it has a sort of grid of coloured squares with each colour of pencil. Let's say these are all the coloured squares, they're obviously not. If you roll your mouse over the square, a little pop-up comes up. I mean, you may have a pop-up blocker, of course, it might not work. A little pop-up comes up and tells you the name and number of the colour, which is really cool. So I did this and I wrote them down on my post-it. Sorry, I just got to get my hanky. And wrote them down. Just because I was interested to see what the names were really. So I did that. So that's how I can share the names with you. I like to share the names, because if you want to try and match from a different set, sometimes having the name helps, sometimes it doesn't. Depends, because sometimes sets have completely different colours. Like a magenta, for example, it can look so different. So the magenta in this set is a number 20, which is this really light pink, you can just about see. Whereas in Polychromos, the magenta is a really, really dark colour. So it's, whereas I always think of it more as a sort of fuchsia type pink, which for me is a sort of mid Barbie pink type colour, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting. But my husband always talks by colour name, and but he uses only Winsor & Newton watercolour. So he talks about Winsor yellow and things like that, and I've got no idea what that is. This one I think we'll do next. I don't use, because I don't have Winsor & Newton do make pencils. I've never ever seen anyone use them. I've got no idea what they're like, but they're not sort of known for their pencils, certainly known for their paint. But so having never used their pencils, I don't know what that colour is, you know. I mean, obviously, so I'm just sharpening. Obviously, a Winsor yellow is a yellow, but apart from, sorry. Yes, but you know, apart from knowing it's a yellow, I don't know whether it's like a light champagne, a cream, a lemon, a sort of mid-yellow, cadmium yellow, or whether it's more of an orangey yellow or an ochre. There's so many different yellows, as you will know. Now I'm thinking about the tendril on these berries, but I'm going to still do it dark because that's what we're doing. We're keeping it all the same. Now keeping big sections the same colour, like we're doing here, keeping all the leaves the same colour, also makes it much easier when it comes to choosing colour, which is helpful on a big spread like this one. It's because yeah, as I said, it can get really quite daunting knowing where to go with colour, what to pick. Whoops, sorry, I'm wobbling the whole desk. So yeah, it's very useful just keeping it limited. And if you don't want to do purple and pink leaves, obviously it might be way out of your comfort zone, or it might just not match with your feelings for how this page should look. Certainly go and do your greens, and you could follow my lead in that your darkest colour is this bit that I'm demonstrating now, so all the vines, the sort of edges, stems, veins, all that sort of thing in the dark colour. You could do that with your darkest green. If you're using the Staedtlers, you can use your number 38, I think is the darkest one, isn't it, or 5? I'm never quite sure. I think the 38 is like the sea green, it's slightly bluey, it is the darkest one, but you might prefer to use the 5, which is more of a slightly bluey green but not really quite so blue. So it's up to you really. But I have been using my Staedtlers quite a lot lately. I'm thinking about these circles. I may do those in purple too, but I'll just do the outside of this one while I have a think about it. I'm just going to do that so I don't forget that it's there. Yeah, yeah, I'm using the Staedtlers a lot. I used them a lot when I first started colouring, and I've been doing a lot of detailed pictures lately, so they're really good because they sharpen to a fine point and they don't break, which is really, really useful. And they're not too hard. They are harder than some brands, admittedly, but they're still vibrant if you layer them up a little bit. Whereas some brands are so hard, I find it really difficult to get much colour out of them. Like the Staedtler Noris, for example, you have to really layer it up. And although we're supposed to do that when we're colouring, layering is all part of it, it can get a bit tedious. And you have to be really careful with certain paper, can't take lots of layers. You know, a Johanna's paper is very good, but if you're using a, I am going to do these circles. if you're using a colouring book with thinner paper, it's trickier, you get less layers. If you're using a different brand of pencil to me, these circles have a little think. Because we're going to be colouring over the top of them with a pink for the inner part of our leaf. If your colour, the type of pencil you're using is very smudgy, you might want to do this last so that you don't smudge it everywhere. I'm probably telling you a bit late now if you're colouring along, but I know the Staedtlers don't smudge, so it's that's good. Some smudgier pencils are quite handy if you want to get a nice sort of smushy look, but isn't what I'm after today. I was really smudging things yesterday. I used some watercolour pencils, so I wetted them and smushed them about. It was really good fun. I was doing the Secret Garden calendar that I've been doing a page from each month, and I decided, because it's quite thick paper, because it's almost sort of card, I thought I would just have a go. The only thing is the pages are so big that I've got nothing I can put behind them to sort of protect the page below. So I thought if the water does go through, it'll ruin the page underneath. I mean, the back is okay because the calendar is from 2017, so I'm not going to use the sort of bit where you write the appointments on and things. But I just went for it, and because I'm using a water brush, it doesn't make the page that wet. It buckled a little bit, but not too much. But you'll see that in my completed pages video. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I did what I basically did with my tree was I did the it was the tree house from Secret Garden, you may or may not be familiar with. So I did the tree, and I just basically, instead of colouring each individual leaf, I just did a big smush all over. I should just write there with my pencil. So I did a big smush everywhere over the leafy area, and over the and did the branches, and then I just wetted it all and smushed it about, and for the sort of background bit of the tree. And then I went back in with a darker green and redid all the leaves that were sort of drawn in, and didn't wet those. Because the pencils I'm using, which are the Castle Arts watercolours, you might ask me, are they any good? Well, I think so, but I've only ever used 2 sets of watercolour pencils, so it's very hard for me to judge. They can be used wet or dry, so it meant that I could use parts of it dry where there's little ickle details that I couldn't really wet. So it worked out really well, I thought. Considering how inexpert I am at using the watercolours. Inexperienced perhaps is a better word. I think claiming to be an expert at anything is a little, yeah, anyway. Maybe once I've had another 20 years of practice in colouring, I might think I'm a bit more expert. I don't know. But learning so much all the time still, which is brilliant. So I was doing, yeah, I had an early, I've sort of got going early this morning. My children had their final exams today, mocks that is, it's not their sort of proper exams, they've got those to come in May and June, but husband took them off to college, so I got up. I had a little victory this morning. One son said, I can't find my belt. Okay. So the other son said, I had a very quick look for it in the obvious places, but I couldn't find it. I thought I'd come down and have breakfast, and maybe someone else can look, but I'm not very good at looking for things. I was like, fair enough. So he had his breakfast, then his brother said, I'll go and look for it. So he went off and looked for it, came back 5 minutes later, can't find it. So had making lunch boxes, breakfast, eating and all that. Husband comes down, the issue of the belt comes up again. Husband goes off to look for it, can't find it. So I'm like, oh, come on then, I'll look for it. So I went upstairs. I had a very quick look in his bathroom, even though I thought wouldn't be in there. Looked in his bedroom. He's got a little footstool in his bedroom with some clean washing on it. Lifted up the washing, there it was. I went straight down and could gloat. I found it. And my one son said, I looked under there, but I only looked under the one pile of washing, not the other one. Oh dear. So, whoops. And husband, he didn't look in it. What he does is he looks in the places that you wouldn't look. Do you know what I mean? So you would look in the wardrobe, in the drawers, on other pairs of trousers and things like that. But no, he always looks in the unobvious places, like under the bed. Sometimes that works really well. Right, I finished my initial purple. I think I'm going to switch now and use this colour. This is the 61. It is called the dark mauve, and I'm going to use that for the base of the leaf, so I'll show you. So down at the bottom here, and then fade it. Yeah, so I was victorious this morning with the looking for belt. I might take that all the way to the end, and I might not add a second pink colour. I was thinking I might add a different pink to the tip. I might not. It might work just like this. There's quite a contrast between these two colours, so the stem really stands out as looking different. If you're not happy with that, put a bit of purple, the original purple that we use, the what's it called, violet. Use a bit of the violet in the bottom of each leaf, and it won't look so starkly different. But I'm going to persevere like this. I'm not sure what this is. Oh, that's a I'm going to use my violet there. I think that is a stem there, because behind here I think these are the bricks holding up the table. Excuse me sniffing. My boys have both got colds. Of course, being mock exam week, there's always a cold about. My one son was awake at 5, coughing and coughing and coughing. So, oh. He said, I was thinking everyone's going to be really annoyed with me coughing so much this time of the morning. And I was like, yeah, I was thinking, why doesn't he get some cough mixture? But I said I wasn't awake enough to speak and suggest it to you. I realised we haven't done the leaves that are on this table. I think we should match those in with these. But anyway, we get up at, he's usually awake at 5:30 time anyway, so it wasn't like it woke him up mega early. He was okay, and it's their last day of exams today, and then next week is half term, and so they get the week off, but they've got a lot of work to do apparently. So we'll see, but I've got things to do as well, so that's okay. We've got Monday, we're not going to be in though. My one boy's got the orthodontist. It's at the hospital. Now they don't do that in our local hospital. Well, our town's quite small, our hospital's small, so we have to go to next town, but fortunately we organised it so that it was in the town where my parents live, which is 10 miles away, something like that, really quite close. So my husband tends to drop us at the bus stop on his way to work, and then we can jump on a bus and go into town, and they live quite close to the town centre. But this time I think I'm going to get him to drop me, no, we're going to get off the bus near the university, where my one boy is going to be going from September, to show him how to walk to town from the university in case he ever needs to. It's worth getting to know his way around a little bit, I think, because he doesn't know that town particularly well. I went to that university myself, so I know it well. Not the building, a little bit. They've changed it quite a lot since I was there, as you would expect. It's been quite a while. We haven't done this one, I've just noticed. I'm wondering whether it would benefit you for me to come in a bit closer, but I don't want to risk forgetting to move the page. I'm going to put that there. you can sort of see how it's working as a whole as well. I think it's quite useful. So yeah, so we're gonna go to the university, and we can't go in because obviously he's not enrolled and all that, but I can sort of show him how to get from there into town. Now these two are sort of behind the other leaves, and I'm sort of thinking, how do I do them so it still sort of shows up? I'm thinking if I do them a bit lighter, maybe even with a lighter pink. I'm just going to do these while I think about it. I could use a lighter touch on my pencil, or I could use a lighter pink. I think I'll use a lighter pink. We have the 20 that I was talking about earlier, which is called Magenta, as I said earlier, so you can see what it looks like. I think it works quite well with the sharpened it very well. There we go. I think it sort of matches well with this other pink. Some of the pinks are a bit more orangey already, whereas this one seems to work well with the, I think that's going to be pink in there. I'm just guessing a little bit. Now where the leaves overlap, you can put some shadowing in and do fancy things like that, but I'm not going to. It's quite a detailed picture. I think I'm going to actually keep the leaves quite simple, and then maybe pay a little more attention to this bit on the table. But I don't know yet. We'll see. So let's move across to the next bit of the leaves. And just, we're going to sort of, I think my plan will be, because I think we'll probably just do all the leaves today. Ooh, I'll rock the whole table as I'm colouring. Now with the leaves I am aiming to try and get them a little bit darker at the bottom. This one doesn't want to play. There we go. Yeah, I think if we do all the leaves today and finish off the rest, I'm really excited to start my new series, but I've got to do this planner page first. So I don't want to break it down into too many little videos because I want to show you my next lot. I had it all laid out ready, and then I realised that actually planner day comes next, so I had to do that. Now with these sort of leaves, you could make it darker from here to the edge. I think we'll do that. It makes it a bit more interesting. So fade it out towards the outside instead of from the bottom. So just put more layers in the middle. Yeah, so we're doing this one, and then my next series is one that I've been asked to do from Rooms of Wonder. I've got loads of pages in there that I want to do with you. Whether I'll get them all done before I finish the book, I don't know. I need to count actually. I think I might be halfway through. Last time when I got halfway through Worlds of Wonder, I did a flip through to show you what I'd done so far. I don't know whether to do that or not with this one, or just wait till I'm finished. I'll have a think. Anyway, I've got a page to share with you from there, which I've been asked to do. So it's a complex page, and so I think that's why I've been asked to do it, because it's really daunting. It's the Lost Property Office with the little counter and the sort of double page spread. And it wasn't one that I was going to do with you. I was going to do it on my own because it's quite complex, but I've been asked to do it, so I will be. And I've already had a sort of thought about a plan of attack. And I think I can make it a lot of fun. One of the things is I'm going to use a pencil that is quite hard. It's not I'm not going to use these. I'm going to use the Ergosofts, I think. Polychromos would also be a good choice, but I decided to use again one with a less choice of colours, because because there's so much to colour. I thought it would be easier. I've missed out a little tendril here, or vine, whatever you might call it. I think it's coming up there. Yeah, so probably Ergosoft. So I might change my mind before I start filming, you never know. But it's going to be fun. I've been looking at sort of how I can do it, and I think it's going to work okay. It will be a long series, I can imagine, though, with all those little itty details, but that's okay. But I think the thing you find with all YouTube, though, is with the series, the second, usually, it hasn't always been the case, the first video is popular and then it gets less and less popular as you go on. And so actually YouTube discourages people from making series because of that, or people are discouraged. I'm thinking I want a bit of purple in this one, a bit of violet. So, but if I put it in the stem, it's then the whole plant. Do you see how that leads in? But what I'm going to do is do it in the stem and then fade it out like that, so it's not in the whole thing. And I'm wondering whether to do, I think I'm going to do these in purple. Yeah, so it's quite interesting. So generally the first one's popular and then the rest aren't. So if you do a really long series, which is what that page will be, it will reduce in popularity as you go through. So it can be tempting to break it up and not do it all several days in a row, but then that makes it difficult for you. It means you've got a work in progress, a WIP hanging around for a really long time, and so do I, which I don't like. Personally, I don't like having incomplete pages. It makes me feel uncomfortable. For some people, they don't have that at all. They are quite happy with lots of incomplete pages, and that's absolutely fine. We're going back to the number 61. But for me, I dislike it. I've actually had to step out of my comfort zone quite a lot with making videos, because often you do, you know, like I'll do this bit of this page and then stop, and then maybe I'll go next door and colour something else, and I can't finish this page if I'm not filming. So, you know, I have to sit and be comfortable with not having finished it and things like that, and it's helped push me out of my comfort zone a bit, but not that much, you know. It's the same as books. I like to complete books. You know, you've seen my video recently, I'm sure, or you may have done, where I talked about how I complete books, and it's really because it's in my head. I'm a completist, as my son says. I like to finish things. It gives me great joy. So finishing books for me is so pleasurable that it's always my aim. And I did get someone saying it sounded like I didn't enjoy it, but I do. But I think some people get the pleasure from completing a picture that takes them 6 weeks to do, and it's absolutely amazing, and they spent ages on every little tiny detail. Whereas although if I did that and I came up with this absolute masterpiece, I would be extremely happy. I also feel happy finishing a page or a book, you know. I don't like to rush it so it looks completely rubbish. I mean, it's I do like to try and make it look nice, but I don't feel the necessity to make every single detail look absolutely perfect, and to, you know, always do a background, or always sort of, I don't know. So, you know, we're all different. I just like to keep it fun for me and show you how I do it. And if the way I do it isn't fun for you, then you have to find your own way, or find somebody else to follow, to watch on YouTube that does it the way you like. And I think that's why it's so good that there are so many different colorists on YouTube, because I'm doing these quite dark. I think it's quite fun, because it means that everyone's got a chance. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to ignore it. Everyone's got a chance to find someone on YouTube that does things in the way they like. I mean, for example, I love Chris Chang's videos. And if you haven't seen them, wow, just go and have a look. Don't watch a video; they're really long. If you haven't, but if you go and find her on Instagram, she's called Colour versus Colour, I think, on Instagram, and VS Colour vs Colour. But if you look up Chris Chang, you'll find her anyway, I think, on Instagram, and her work is absolutely stunning. And I've followed some of her videos, and the pieces of work that I've produced are really pretty, and I've been really happy. It takes me a long time though. I find not only do I have to play, pause, I haven't followed any of her videos since I bought my Prismacolors. She uses Prismacolors, so I had to use a conversion chart and convert from Prisma to polychromos on every pencil that she used. Now in some videos she would put the pencil names in the description, so then I could do it all. I could have a list before I started, which was useful. Otherwise she puts it up on the screen, so I have to when it comes up on the screen, I then have to pause the video. I have to find that colour conversion chart. I use Colour with Claire's, which is brilliant, and find the colour. If it isn't on the chart, I have to just make something up. I also have to write down the colour I've used, so that if it appears again, I know what I used for it, and then I have to colour it. And she colours faster than me, believe it or not, so I can't keep up. Well, I like to, you have to watch what she's doing, and then I pause and then I colour it, because she doesn't always colour everything in the same sort of way, whereas I'm colouring all these leaves in the same way, with a little bit darker at the bottom and lighter at the tip, with the same colour. So you probably shouldn't need to keep pausing and checking, because you could probably colour along quite easily, knowing that I'm doing something quite straightforward. She also doesn't colour every item on the page, so you have to, she zooms, so she zoom into here, colour this bit, and then when she zooms out 10 minutes later, she's coloured a bit down here that she didn't film, that is the same as this, but so you have to then wind it back and remember what colours that bit was and colour it, and I find that can be a little bit tricky. If I do that in my videos, what I try and do is when I watch other people's videos, I look at things that I find a little bit difficult, and I try to make it a bit easier. So if I said to you, well, I'm not going to colour that leaf, it's just going to be the same as that one, I would tell you. There's no talking on Chris Chang's videos, so you don't get to know that. So I would say, so then you would get the opportunity to think, okay, I will just pause and I'll colour it quickly and keep up with her, or something like that. So I try and make it a little bit easier, but that's me. But then I'm more simple in what I do, you know. I sort of aiming at more beginners, I think, than she does. But doing a picture of hers is so satisfying. I've done quite a few. I was going to do another one over Christmas. I had these plans for Christmas to get really ahead in my videos, so I could have a few days to just sit and do a Chris Chang video. But I just didn't get that far ahead, and we were entertaining, and it was lovely, showing off our new kitchen and having people around, seeing people shopping, wrapping presents, all those Christmassy things, which is so much fun. But actually I completely ran out of time, and I also didn't get ahead enough leading up to Christmas. I don't think I had burnout, because I haven't really, I know YouTubers get burnout, but I just had too much to do, so I just couldn't fit it all in. And my plan was to get ahead so that I could have the time off, and I didn't, so I didn't have the time off, but it was fine. I didn't need the time off in that sense. And there were often days when my son was streaming, my husband was doing art, my other son was watching live streams or playing games. I didn't really need to be present with the family. I have been thinking about a way for us all to be a little bit more present, because we're always on our computers, devices. I'm sure your family's the same. And I've been trying to think about having a device-free day. But I've suggested it before and the reaction was not good. The husband was the one that protested the most. So I think the only way we can do it is to go out of the house. And then you don't have a computer with you. Yes, they have their phones with them. But hopefully they might be entertained enough not to take it out. We'll see. But I just thought it'd be nice to have some time to talk to each other. We do at meal times. Phones are banned at meal times, although we don't always eat together. In the mornings we try to, but not everyone's up. At the weekends particularly. And then we do weekday and weekend meal times we're together. And evening meal times mean the children are together. So gives me the chance to ask them what they did in their day, which is nice. They don't like telling me, but because I know their timetable, I can say, well, you had physics today. What did you do? I don't remember. Did you do springs? Did you do acceleration? Did you do magnetism? You know, and eventually they remember. Although my son who's doing physics is better at remembering. My other son doesn't remember what he does half the time. Right, we're nearly done with these leaves. Sorry, my hand's covering half the page. Just chattering away. Okay, so we've got our pink leaves and it sort of forms a nice frame around the picture. I'm just having a little look. I'm thinking I'm going to do this bit as well. And this bit. And these. I've also we've got the leaves on the table. I think I'm just going to do those quickly before I finish. I need to go and get a coffee, and and I did need to split this into two halves because I think there's a lot going on this page. You may have got a little bit behind me because I may be going a little bit too fast, so it'll give you a chance to catch up before the next video, and it'll give me a chance to think about what I'm doing. I've got a few ideas. I know what I'm doing with the flowers, I know what I'm doing with the background, but I don't know what I'm doing with the table and stuff, you know, stuff. So we'll have to have a little think, or I might just wing it and do it. Okay, so back to the 61 to just finish off these leaves. See, I'm thinking, do I do all the bowls the same colour? Do I do them different colours? What about the fruit and things? I'm not going to do the leaves that are printed onto the bowls. I might not do those in these same colours. But this has really challenged me. I'm not very good at doing things that aren't conventional colours. So it's a bit different. I just hope I can sort of tie it all in with the rest. I'm going to do the blackberries. Do we do them with pink leaves? I have a think about that. I don't know if I want to introduce any green in this picture, because there isn't, well, the apple, you've got leaves here as well. I'm going to think about that. I'm not going to worry about it now. I'm just going to leave that there for now, just with the purple and pink. So there it is for you to have a quick look at in case you haven't got it all done. Now we only used a paler pink on these. The rest are all the same pink, although this one looks paler. It's the same. I just used it a bit lighter, as you can, because they're quite close pinks. it works. So that is that. As I say, tomorrow I'm going to probably finish it, even though there's more itty bitty details, but I've got to have a little think about colours. Okay, but for today, thank you very much. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, and happy colouring.